Hello, everybody. Um, I'm hoping to add this short video as an introduction to my homage to Garrison Keillor, a short story I wrote a couple of years ago, which I have called Raccoon Pond. And a la Garrison Keillor, I've set it in a place that is unidentified and unknown. I unfortunately, as yet, don't have a name, as Garrison Keillor did with Lake Wobegon Tales, but it's going to be sort of similar kind of presentation, or as we say in America, presentation. And I'm also adopting a really strange version of Garrison Keillor's Minnesota St. Paul accent. So I hope you'll forgive me for that. Um, I, I'm going to do a series of these stories and I'm going to call them collectively Tales from the Backwood. And as I say, if Garrison Keillor will forgive me, I'm going to adopt his St. Paul's, like say Minnesota, laconic way of talking and his inflection, because I love listening to his stories and the way he speaks. To give you an example, I'll just randomly say something off the top of my head, but I'll try and do it in the style of Garrison Keillor. It was a warm, sunny day, and all of a sudden, the flowers were all in bloom. Where weeks before there'd been nothing but bits of grass and a few shoots bursting through the dark, rich, loamy soil. Now there was a profusion of color, dancing before the eyes, like the first Technicolor movie, like The Wizard of Oz, when halfway through it changes from black and white into glorious Technicolor. And there, all around the town, were baskets with garishly colored flowers drooping downward so that it was easy to get tangled in them if you didn't look too carefully as you walked by. So I say it's a poor imitation of Garrison Keillor, but you get an idea for the style, and I love that style. So Raccoon Pond is done entirely in that style. So I hope not only Garrison Keillor but his fans and generally the American population will forgive me. But it is an homage. I adore Garrison Keillor. Started listening to Lake Wobegon Tales in the 80s, and my children were forced to listen to him too, but they still talk about these stories. And he did a show, I think, called, I can't remember the title, something about old radio show or something. I think it was literally on the radio in the US, which I've caught snippets of. And I don't think there's anywhere over this side of the Atlantic where we've got anybody who's so prolific a storyteller as Garrison Keillor. Certainly not on the radio, which I think is a big mistake. Now, it may be that England is, or Ireland, or Scotland, or Wales, not quite as romantic in the way that the US is. Just the names of towns, you know. Sure, they have a Birmingham, as we do. We call it Birmingham, you call it Birmingham, um, and I think there's even a Manchester, way up somewhere in Massachusetts. I might be wrong on that. But even my all-time musical hero James Taylor talks about the Berkshires. And of course, there's a county here in England that they're named after those trees, that tree-lined area, the Berkshires. And the county is called Berkshire over here. The same way that you say clerk and we say Clark. I don't know. It's just... I think it was Winston Churchill who said, two peoples separated by a common language. And I think I'd go along with that. But I've always had a deep and lasting fascination with America. And I think that's why I've chosen to do this series of stories called Tales from the Backwood. Anyway, hopefully by the time I've compiled this, the next thing you will hear or see will be some pictures of raccoons and some woods as I do my poor imitation of Garrison Keillor in Raccoon Pond. I hope you enjoy it. Now I turn this off.